So I want to talk to you about two things that are very important to me: music and education. And more specifically, I want to talk about choice in education because this was my choice. In 1986, I won the lottery and I got a scholarship to go to school here, the St. Paul's School for Boys in Brooklynville, Maryland. And it was such an amazing and transformative experience that every day when I wake up, I am humbled and frustrated that people I know, people who are my friends, people who were in my family did not have the same kind of opportunities I had. And I spent the last 10 years working here in New Jersey on policies that are meant to help make sure that lots of kids, no matter what their income, who their parents are, or what their zip codes is, have the same kind of opportunities I had. So what does that have to do with music? Anybody remember what this is? This is the world as it was at the end of the 20th century. There are these things that used to have, they were called record stores, right? And you went to them and you bought these things and they were called CDs. Does anybody know what a CD is? It's like a record, but it's smaller and it's silver. So I used to run this nightlife. I used to like HMV, frankly. HMV was a pretty good record store. They had a good import section, and they had lots of interesting stuff, and the people were pretty helpful. And I used to run this nightlife magazine that had a big music component. So me and the staff, we'd always be over there on Tuesday, whatever, that's like the new release day. So you show up, and we'd be pouring through, trying to find whatever we wanted to listen to. And that was fun. But if HMV did not have what you wanted, that was terrible. Does anybody remember how difficult it was to get like an import if they did not have what you wanted? Does anybody remember how long that took? Does anybody remember how expensive it was to get something if they did not have it? And I know I'm busting on HMV, but I thought HMV was a pretty good record store, even though they had all these problems with it. And I do want to tell you, too, that like when we weren't writing about music, we were writing about nightlife, which meant we would just go out and show up and get toe up and come back and write about it, which is an amazing experience. I recommend getting this job if you're able to get this job. Does anybody know what this is? I know some people might not be old enough to know what this is. So Napster was like a tidal wave. It was like a revolution with a billion little drops of water that were all things you had never heard before. And Napster so radically changes the way people consume music that you can't put the expectation and the demand back in the bottle anymore. So I can remember this, like, I was online this one night at home, and I had gotten a laptop. I had a work laptop at the time because it's like when you start downloading music, you got to take your music with you. So you got to get a computer you can take what you do, you know. So I'm at home and I'm searching for what I want. And I realized that like Napster has liberated music along these three really important axes. The first one is where. You can get music wherever you want it. The second one is when. You can get it whenever you want it. And the last one is what. You could get whatever you wanted. This is like an amazing experience. It totally transforms the way you consume music. I remember I was like chatting up this guy. I was downloading this music. It was a guy in Sweden. It's this Swedish band, Bo Kasper's Orchestra, because I was dating a Swedish girl at the time, which I also recommend. And this was just such an amazing experience. You just could not take it any other way. So Napster was great, but it had a lot of problems. The number one problem was it was illegal. But either way, what Napster set free was something you could never get rid of afterwards, and it's changed the way we consume music forever. Anybody know what this is? Right. A transformative idea or policy is introduced into the world, and it changes the way people interact with the thing forever. iTunes rationalizes and makes legal the consumer demand and expectation that Napster set free. And I would say the most important thing about iTunes is, other than that it builds on the where, the what, and the when of Napster, is that it raises the bar on buying an actual album, because now you can buy singles. So for instance, like remember back in the day those little things called CDs? If they had one song on them that you liked, you bought that song for $15.99, and 14 songs that sucked came along for the ride. So now, because you can buy singles, it raises the bar on album quality because you can take whatever you want. This is an amazing experience, and once again, it's a genie that cannot be put back in the bottle. Anybody know what this is? So this is that on steroids. And this, I would argue, unleashes the fourth plank of digital music, which is not where, what, and when, but how much. Because it swaps, you don't have a hard drive anymore, so you can look at how much in terms of space or in terms of time. But yet again, this is another iteration that builds on an expectation about how something is supposed to happen that is unleashed when Napster gets let out of the bottle. And again, you can never put this back away. So what does this have to do with education? If music is education, most people get their education at HMV. It's great if you live close to it. It's great if you can afford to buy CDs. It's awesome if they have what you want. But if you're a family, sometimes you have a problem. If you're a low-income kid and they don't have what you want, sometimes you have a problem. And I really want to dial in on this notion. I spent all this time talking about consuming music, and I just want you to think about the fact that people actually consume school as well. They buy it. They exhibit these consumer behaviors around school, but they don't know that they're actually doing this. And there's three kinds of people that exhibit the behavior for the most part. If you're rich, you consume school with a mortgage. I'm sort of scared of any word that has debt as the root, by the way. You buy the best house in the nicest district you can get to, and you buy school in that way. You could argue that for rich people, the record store is working just fine. If you're middle class, it's a lot tougher. Who here has got a friend who lives in Hoboken, loves Hoboken, just had a 5-year-old, and had the conversation that we got to move, we got to leave, right? There are thousands, millions of families all across America right now who are having this conversation because we force them to buy into this overheated housing market, and that's not fair. But if you're poor, it's really terrible. And basically, the consumer behavior we make you exhibit is criminal. Anybody know anybody who lies about their address? Raise your hand. I know nobody in here did it, but if you know somebody who lied about their address to get into a better school, raise your hand. This is literally criminal behavior. In California and in Ohio and in Connecticut, parents are being sent to jail, literally, for lying about their addresses so their kids can get into schools that they can't in districts that they can't afford to move into. It's terrible. All across New Jersey, we have police who follow children home to make sure they live in homes that are in the districts. Is this the kind of America that we want? Is this the promise of education that we make to every child? I don't think so. But we can do better. And right now, we're doing better all across America. Just like Napster did to the record store, we can let the genie out of the bottle, and the genie is choice in the way people consume education. Right now, there are 1 million kids on charter school waiting lists all across this country. 1 million. Right now, there are more kids on charter school waiting lists in Newark than there are actually in charter schools. Right now, the 9 best performing public high schools in New Jersey are ones that people chose. They're ones that people picked, decided they wanted to go to. Right now, the Interdistrict Public School Choice Program in New Jersey has tripled its enrollment in the last 2 years. The genie gets out of the bottle. And maybe the best example of this is in higher ed. This is a guy named Sebastian Thune. He's like an evil genius. He does this artificial intelligence seminar at Stanford. And so he designed this thing called Udacity because he wanted more people to see it. So there were 200 kids in the class. He put it online, let people take it for free, and 160,000 people took the class. Now, what's really telling about this is that of the test results that came back in the end, the top 400 people were not enrolled in the class at Stanford. The 401st kid was in the class. The genie got out of the bottle. But that genie cannot reach everyone unless you and you and you and you and you decide that you want a world that doesn't look like HMV. A world that looks like this. A world where families have better opportunities. A world where every kid has a great chance. And a world where, the song you download is about freedom. and opportunity. Thank you.